Peace. This is Instructor Yasir on the Knowledge of Survival podcast, where we talk about self-defense, martial arts, fitness, functional fitness, and firearms, guns, politics of the world. But most importantly, self-defense and firearms and martial arts training, fitness training for self-defense and functional fitness and protecting you and your family. So I'm sitting in my car right now at the private range, which I'm a part of. I actually just wrapped up a lesson with one of my students at the range, and it was pretty interesting. I was with the older gentleman, and when I talked to him on the phone, he told me that he already had some guns that he was going to bring, and he hasn't had much practice with them, and he wanted to get some rounds off. So he brought in two revolvers and a small Beretta. One of the revolvers was a 32, I believe, and then the Beretta was a 25, I think, semi-automatic. And then he had a 38 Special, the Ruger LCR. So he asked me, so I brought it and I said, okay, I'm looking at his guns and I'm like, all right, which one of these is your carry gun? He said, well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to ask you kind of what you think and kind of go from there. So, of course, I told him out of the three guns he showed me, it needs to be the Ruger, the LCR 38 Special. And one of the main, I probably say out of the three guns that he showed me, the main reason for that was that the other two guns he had, they're in calibers that are not popular anymore. So, what, a 25 and I think it was a 32. So, I used to work at the gun counter at a Cabela's local to me. And, I was always, checking out the ammo and helping customers with ammo. So, it was, those are kind of obscure rounds right now. It's not like years ago where you might have been able to find them a lot more often. Nowadays, you're not really finding a 32 or 25 for your guns, So that's something to keep in mind too. Whatever's going to be a carry gun or a gun that you're relying upon for self-defense, you want to make sure that you can get ammo for it. So 9mm is, the standard now. So you can find that pretty much everywhere. That's plentiful. 38 Special, even though that's an older round, it's still kicking. I mean, there's a lot of people who still enjoy the 38 Special round, and those are still pretty plentiful. You can still come up on those pretty easily. So that's a consideration with whatever's going to be your main carry gun, is knowing what, is it going to be able to, are you going to be able to get ammo for the thing? Something else that was interesting. So after I wrapped up my lesson went great. We worked on sight alignment, we worked on stances, we worked on safety, for universal safety rules, making sure a firearm is unloaded, loading it up, all those types of things, getting rounds, getting things, on target. So the lesson was good. So after my student left, I stayed at the range and I did some practicing on my own. Had my 9mm Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, which is my carry gun, and I noticed some strange things happening today. So, well, initially, I started firing off rounds, and I realized after I had already unloaded the magazine down into the target that I let off my my Hornady critical defense, hollow points, by accident. So, but fired great. So So that was good. Fired great. No issues there. But then after that, I started loading up my target rounds, and I started having issues either with the last two or the last round in the magazine. Like it just wouldn't fire. And I couldn't really determine what the issue was. Like, I had to keep doing, tap, rack, and roll, clearing the malfunction. And, dropping the magazine out, firing, putting it back in, racking it, firing. And it was just, I don't know, it wouldn't fire. So I'm like, okay, this is an issue. What if I needed this gun right now for whatever reason and the thing is not firing? So that was troubling. I'm thinking like, all right, I'm going to have to send this in to Smith & Wesson for them to check it out and see exactly what's going on. So then another thought popped in my head was, I've got a 3-inch Ruger LCR at home that I never carry. I never carry it because I don't have a holster for it. And it made me say, you know what? I need to get a holster for this thing. Because the 3-inch revolver, it's more concealable than my full size SAR 9. But I don't have a holster for it. So I need to have that because I was thinking about, I only got 3 handguns I'm working with right now. My Smith & Wesson Shield, my SAR 9 full size, and that Smith & Wesson revolver. And I don't have a holster for it. If I need to be able to conceal and I want to have something smaller than my SAR 9, I need to have a holster for that just in case I need to carry it. Because what if I got to send this Smith & Wesson in to be repaired? See? So that was one thing to think about. Because having a revolver, the plus of having a revolver is that thing's pretty much going to go off. It's rare that you're going to have a jamming issue with a revolver. That thing is pretty much going to go bang every time that you use it, even if you've been neglectful and you're cleaning it and so forth. So that's the benefit of having a revolver and why I think everybody should own one. I know that it's not the hot thing anymore. I know that there's much more sexier guns out. I know that it lacks in capacity with the 5 or the 6 rounds. But where it lacks in capacity and, sexiness, I guess, even though I really like the look of revolvers, but where it lacks in capacity, it makes up for in dependability. So with this Smith & Wesson, I was getting a little worried, thinking I'm going to have to send this thing in to be repaired. But then I loaded up some more hollow points that I had, and those fired off without a hitch, it seems. So that made me think, okay, maybe it's just my bullets that I'm using for the range for my target ammo. So I'm going to get some different target ammo and see how that runs. Because I will admit, I haven't used any other target ammo in this gun since I've had it. So I've only been using the same brand. Now, I haven't had an issue prior to today. But, no, actually, let me take that back. That's not true. I have had jamming issues with it before, but I attributed it to me just not having the gun clean. I had been to the range a few times before and neglected to actually clean my gun in between that time. So I was attributing the malfunctions to that. But maybe it's the bullets. So I'm going to get some new bullets. I'm going to get a different brand and see how those work in my gun here before I decide to send this thing off to be repaired. So those are some pieces I wanted to leave you with. I would say, number one, if you don't have a revolver, get one just for the reliability of it. This doesn't have to be your main gun or anything like that, but just to have it so that if you end up with a situation where your main gun needs to be replaced or needs to be repaired, you don't have the money to replace it, or you're waiting for it to come back to you from the manufacturer, you still have something that you can use to defend you and your family. And that could be the revolver. You can pretty much depend on it to go off when you need it to. Second thing is you got to see what ammo works for you. The guns can be particular. So try some different ammo and see what shoots out of there the best. And yeah, so those are my those are my tips today, guys. So be safe, watch your back. When in doubt, train. Peace.